Realtree's Midwest Whitetail is brought to you by Cabela's, Easton Arrows, Frigid Forage, Fuse, Grizzly Coolers, HOYT, Hooyman Tree Saws, Muddy Outdoors, and Realtree.
Well, it is November 11th, and my buddy Brandon and I are set up for the morning hunt here on the public land. We were able to get in here nice and quiet this morning. We've got about a 10 to 15 mile an hour wind, and it's supposed to lay off as the day goes, but it's nice and cool. And this is the same spot that I shot that doe this past weekend. We've actually got a camera that we put up on a big scrape that's opened up recently about 50 yards away, so I'm definitely going to check that at the end of the hunt. Hopefully we can catch a hot doe to run through here, catch a cruising buck, and might even try rattling this morning just to shake things up. But it's nice and overcast and should be a good hunt. I know Brandon and I are planning to hunt most of the day, so hopefully we can see something. Well, it's about 9:45 here, and Brandon and I are about to wrap up our morning. Ended up being a little bit slower than we anticipated. We ended up seeing 2 does and then 1 small buck. And I don't think we got any footage of that buck just because he was so far on the ridge, we barely saw him. But, you know, it is what it is. I did check that camera, and there was what looked to be a really nice deer, but I just think he's a little young. He's got points going everywhere. Really cool, full character, but don't think I could pull the trigger on him if he did walk by. So I think what we're gonna do tonight is just change it up and head to a different spot in this public. I got a pretty decent idea where I want to go. It's kind of hunting the same thing, just a transition between food and bedding. So I know there's a lot of does that are in that area, and hopefully, I have no idea what type of bucks are in there, but hopefully there can be a mature one up on his feet tonight. So we're gonna wrap up things here and go get a bite to eat, and we'll talk to you at the stand. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us. We were actually just about to pack up when I decided to throw out a couple more grunts, and we ended up calling down that what I believe is a 4-year-old 8 that I've got pictures of. He kind of just did a loop around us, and he looked when I snort wheezed at him, but just didn't have much interest, put his nose right back to the ground. But it's a cool encounter. I think that, you know, this midday movement, according to the pictures and seeing him up on his feet, it's definitely the time to be in the woods. But we're gonna get down, go get some food, and then shuffle back out to a new spot out here on this public. But not a bad morning, 2 bucks and 2 does overall. So we're gonna get these stands tore down, back to the boat, and then we'll talk to you from the tree this evening. Well, it's about 3:20 here, and Brandon and I are set up for the evening hunt. It's really overcast now, so it definitely feels later than that, but we changed things up a little bit, and we're actually on the opposite side of all this public. And I elected to go and ask for permission to try and access this spot from the land versus the water. And my logic behind that is just because I think that all these deer are going to be bedded on these big ridges that go to that water. They're going to be coming back to all these fields to our west. So far, I think we've been right, unfortunately, because we did see 1 buck already while we were setting up, and he looked to be pretty decent. But this spot is just littered with sign. I mean, really big rubs, and they look to be somewhat fresh just because we can see the shavings on the ground. But it just feels like a really cool spot. I mean, going in blind, have no idea what's actually living in here, but essentially I chose this ridge because all these other smaller ridges kind of come to this head. So we're gonna see what happens. We got about an hour and a half, Hopefully the deer movement picks up and we can see a mature buck and maybe even get one on the ground. November 11th, gotta love this time of year, so see what happens. We got 2 hours. Well, it's 5:07 here. We're finally getting a chance to close out this hunt. We've had all their deer work off finally, and ended up being a pretty good night. Unfortunately, just no mature deer. I really don't even know how many deer we ended up seeing, but it was great movement. I'm really wanting to come back to this spot in the morning. I just don't know if it's going to work out, but it's a good hunt. Good way to close out November 11th, and we'll see when the next time I'm able to get out is, but I'm hoping it's tomorrow morning, if not tomorrow night. So, thank you for watching Whitetail.